Greetings, Niambe. It's truly an honor to be speaking with you today. Where do I find you?
I am currently at my mom's in Martha's Vineyard in Massachusetts.
Of the original three Whalers, Peter Tosh, Bob Marley, and Bunny Whaler, I always had the impression that your father was the most politically radical of the bunch. What's your own sense of this?
Definitely. He was actually well read. He knew about apartheid long before people even knew what apartheid was and wrote the song Apartheid. He's always used his music to educate the people about the politics of Jamaica and the injustices. So I would agree with you that he was one of the most politically knowledgeable of the Whalers.
What do you think of the nickname Stepping Razor?
The irony is that the hook says, "I'm a stepping razor, don't you watch my size. I'm dangerous," but he stood 6'4". So
Akashic Books has just published a children's book based on the lyrics of Peter Tosh's song African. What do you think it is about that song that connects so well with people of all ages?
I think when we look at the day and time that it is that we're living in, and with organizations and platforms like Black Lives Matter and all of the injustices that the world has witnessed now that we have modern day technology and cell phones, from George Floyd to now Jacob Blake, we think that it's just very important that we have media and books that really connect us to our history and to our legacy as Black people. I think African couldn't have come out at a more important time. The diaspora around the globe, I think when you live in certain places, whether, the African diaspora that's in Europe, that's in America, unfortunately, we lose our connection to the motherland. And African is such a great book and lyrics that really just is a message that we should implant in the young minds all over the world.
It's easy to imagine more children's books based on the lyrics of songs by Peter Tosh. Equal Rights comes immediately to mind. Now, this might sound like I'm kidding around, but I'm not. Can you imagine a children's book based on the song Legalize It?
I can, it's funny that you say that, but my daughter is 9 years old, and she has had a cannabis leaf stuffed animal since she was, 3. I think that when we think of the injustices that happen around just this plant, there's been a lot of misinformation. And so it's definitely possible to come out with a children's book called Legalize It, really highlighting all of the medicinal benefits that the plant has, the spiritual benefits, and getting down to the science of the plant, really. I think when we taboo things in society, and it doesn't matter really what it is, you lose an opportunity to educate. And so I think that as I'm an educator of 10 plus years, and education inside and out is very important for people. So I would totally be 100% for a children's book called Legalize It.
You are the chair of the Peter Tosh Foundation. Can you talk a little bit about the mission of the foundation?
Well, the mission of the Peter Tosh Foundation is really to uphold my father's mission that he had within his music. And so we have 5 different initiatives. And the first, one of the initiatives are Justice for Jawara, Justice for All. And that initiative came about through the injustice that my brother and Peter's youngest son faced after being arrested for cannabis, and then turning himself in to serve his time, being brutalized by an inmate, and then suffering a traumatic brain injury, and actually recently passing away. And so, but all of that, stemmed from being arrested over cannabis, which is legal in many parts of the country and is really a part of our culture. Our second initiative that we have is is the Legalize It initiative, which is kind of tied in, but it's really to have equity within the cannabis space and partnering with different organizations where we can do that. Minorities for Medical Marijuana is one of them. And since Blacks around the globe really have been persecuted for the plant, there should be some participation within this new legal market. We also have the Can't Blame the Youth initiative. Like I said, I've been an educator for 10 years. I've since retired, now doing the estate full time. And then we also have the Global Community Initiative, which is finding different organizations around the globe. We have an interest in Africa, of course, and so looking to support initiatives to support different communities around the globe. And lastly, it's the Peter Tosh Museum, which is really just promoting and supporting the growth and development of my father's legacy in Kingston, Jamaica. So there's a lot.
How is the fight for legalization of marijuana tied to the public uprisings that we've seen in the wake of the murder of George Floyd and the shooting of Jacob Blake?
The fight for legalization is very closely related. Unfortunately, the media has often used cannabis to try to justify the murder of Black people. It's been mentioned, in Breonna Taylor's story, Sandra Bland's story. That's why it's so important to really not only legalize it as it becomes more legal from state to state, but also to change the stigma around it, because there are some people that have fallen victim to the knowledge, the propaganda really, of that, like, cannabis is this this plant that can make you this overly violent individual and kills brain cells. And there's so much misinformation around the plant that it's very important that not only legalization happens, but also really information and the destigmatization of the plant.
What is your favorite lesser known Peter Tosh song?
A song called Love. And it's an acoustic version, and it pretty much says every little thing that we do, we have to do it with love. And so it's something you'll have to dig deep into the archives to find, but it definitely is a favorite, and it's something that I live by. It's how I run my family's estate. It's how I run the foundation. It's how I live my life.